कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। जो डिवोटीज नीचे बैठे हैं ना, तो मैं कैसे देखूंगा उनको? नहीं नहीं, तो आप ऐसे थोड़ा सा इस साइड आ जाओ ना। ये इसको निकाल दो ना, यहाँ पे कोई नहीं है तो। बीच का नहीं तो ऐसा खाली छोड़ दो। ओके। So we are, yesterday we saw Parikshit Maharaj, oh sorry, Prithu Maharaj glorifying Kumaras after they gave the answer. Which sloka we start? Huh? 40? 46. Yeah. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। So this is Canto 4, Chapter 22nd, Prithu Maharaj meeting with the four Kumaras. Text 46. स्वमेव ब्राह्मणो भुङ्क्ते स्वं वस्ते स्वं ददाति च तस्यैवानुग्रहेणान्नं भुञ्जते क्षत्रियादयः। Somebody?
Translation. The Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras eat their food by virtue of the Brahmanas' mercy. It is the Brahmanas who enjoy their own property, clothe themselves with their own property and give charity with their own property.
Yeah, so why Prithu Maharaj is talking in this sense is, basically he is telling that what can I give to you? That's what previous verse was. Because nothing is owned by king. If you can see that The after Maha Avatar Narsimdev, now the next movie is coming about Parshuram. So Parshuram conquered the whole world 21 times because he defeated all the Kshatriyas, and Parshuram became the Chakravarti Samrat because he was owning the whole earth. And what did he do? He gave in charity to Brahmanas, the whole earth. So, and then the Brahmanas were the owner, and then they used to appoint king. That okay, you rule this. So the previously the property used to be of Brahmanas, and then kings used to rule over it, and that's how Brahmanas could, when they are not happy, they used to remove king, the way they removed Vena, like that. So the property was of Brahmanas, and then other people used to use it. So that's how he is telling here that only Brahmanas enjoy their own property, others enjoy others' property, because that is not their own. So Kshatriya enjoys Brahmana's property by becoming king, like that. So he is telling that so this whole world is not my property. So in that sense, what can I give it back? Purport?
The Supreme Personality of Godhead is worshipped with the words Namo Brahmaya Devaya, which indicate that the Supreme Lord accepts the Brahmanas as worshipable gods. The Supreme Lord is worshipped by everyone, yet to teach others he worships the Brahmanas. Everyone should follow the instructions of the Brahmanas, for their only business is to spread Shabda Brahma or Vedic knowledge all over the world. Whenever there is scarcity of Brahmanas to spread Vedic knowledge, chaos throughout human society results. Since the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are direct servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they do not depend on others. In actuality, everything in the world belongs to Brahmanas, and out of their humility, the Brahmanas accept charity from the Kshatriyas or kings, and the Vaishyas or merchants. Everything belongs to the Brahmanas, but the Kshatriya government and the mercantile people keep everything in custody like bankers. And whenever the Brahmanas...
So, Prabhupada is giving example of bankers. Banker, cash handling person, he keeps the property of somebody else. Bank has deposits, but that is not bank's property. That is the investor's property. So similarly, the Kshatriyas are like bankers, Vaishyas are like bankers, and the property belongs to Brahmanas. So here one question comes that are Brahmanas or Vaishnavas parasite? Parasite, you understand? What is parasite? परजीवी बोलते उसको, वो दूसरे के ऊपर जीते हैं. There are parasite insects, or there are parasite trees, the creepers. They suck vital energy from other, they don't do themselves. So they are called as parasite. So many times people, they feel that Vaishnavas are like parasite because they live on others' society's money. People donate and then they eat, and they are living nice life on society's money. They don't work, they don't earn themselves. So the actual concept as Prabhupada is telling here, is the whole world belongs to only Vaishnavas and Brahmanas, and others are actually parasite. If they are, it is. But then, as he says here, that being humble Brahmanas, they accept charity and then they do their living. So, here, if you see in the end of this first paragraph, this is actually the Brahmanas or Vaishnavas do not live at others' cost. They live by spending their own money, although it appears that they are collecting this money from others. Kshatriyas and Vaishyas have to no right to give charity, for whatever they possess belong to the Brahmanas. Therefore, charity should be given by the Kshatriyas and Vaishyas under the instructions of Brahmanas. So when Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, they give charity, understanding is not that I am giving charity from my money. The understanding is the whole property belongs to Vaishnavas and Brahmanas, and then by instructions of Brahmanas, then I utilize that, whatever place it is needed. So, when that kind of understanding is there, that is the proper understanding. And here Prabhupada says that because now there is a scarcity of Brahmanas who can be of that actual Brahmanical status, who can claim this proprietorship. Because that Brahmanas are not there, then the so-called Kshatriyas Haribol. उनको बोलो मैं क्लास दे रहा हूँ, कुछ इश्यू है तो मुझे बोलो. तो क्या बोल रहा था मैं? हाँ, so Prabhupada writes, unfortunately at the present moment there is a scarcity of Brahmanas, and since the so-called Kshatriyas and Vaishyas do not carry out the orders of Brahmanas, the world is in chaotic condition. So, yeah. So this has to be properly understood, that we are begging for the benefit of others. Like one brahmachari had gone to one shop to purchase something, and that shop owner was very critical. So he said that, अरे आप इतना अच्छा बॉडी है आपका, काम नहीं कर सकते क्या आप? Why you are begging and then living like this? That is not good. So, and he gave, थोड़ा गाली भी दिया उनको, शर्म करो थोड़ा, इतना जवान होके तुम भीख मांगते हो. तो he felt very bad. He said, अभी दिखा दूंगा उनको मैं क्या भिखारी लगता हूँ क्या? मैं भी काम कर सकता हूँ, मैं भी कमा सकता हूँ. So then his senior told that you don't have to work outside just to show to that person that I can work. So we have to understand that begging is not our, that because we have become helpless, hopeless, that's why we are begging. Rather, begging is our duty. Every brahmachari is supposed to go out and beg for guru. So that is his duty. It is not his helpless situation. कुछ खाने के लिए नहीं है इसलिए वो बाहर जाके मांग रहे हैं. So we have to understand that as a duty we go around and then ask people for help. The second paragraph, read. Who is having the mic?
The second line of this verse indicates that the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras eat only by the virtue of the Brahmanas' mercy. In other words, they should not eat anything which is forbidden by the Brahmanas.
Yeah, so Prabhupada tells that whatever they are eating also is Brahmana's property. So the earth is giving food, that is also Brahmana's property. And because it is Brahmana's property, they should eat whichever comes under their instructions. And then Brahmanas and Vaishnavas only eat Krishna Prasad. So everybody should eat only Krishna Prasad, whether it's a Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra. Yeah. So what we understand is that specifically when we are staying in ashram, all the property here is that belongs to whom? It belongs to Prabhupada and Radharas Bihari. So Radharas Bihari is the owner and Prabhupada being the representative, that ownership goes to him. So when we are here, we should not spend it for our sense gratification. The problem happens is when we are not Krishna conscious, there are so many unnecessary things becomes necessary. So that becomes a problem when we are not Krishna conscious. So that responsibility lies on us, how we spend the property of Radharas Bihari. Like for example, how many of us will dare to take Lakshmi from Hundi and use it? Will not use it, because it is like physically also we understand that this is Radharas Bihari's property. But then when we go to the accounts and then we take Lakshmi from there, that is not different than Hundi Lakshmi. It's Radharas Bihari is Lakshmi only. So how we spend, we have to be very careful. Otherwise, we will incur a lot of reaction for that. If we are misutilizing the Lakshmi of Radharas Bihari. How we misuse? Any examples? Like example, So whatever is not, if something is done in normal way, we don't have to, spend 10 times more than that and have a very sophisticated high class just because it is branded or something like that. So we have to be very careful in spending our Radharas Bihari's Lakshmi. Okay. Any other? Because if you see, if you want chappal comes 100 rupees also, 500 also. I have seen chappals 10,000 rupees also. So chappal is chappal only. Just because it is 10,000, that doesn't mean that it will fly in sky and then you reach in kind of travel to other planets वगैरह. ऐसा तो नहीं होता है. So whatever is necessary, we should do it. So we should know that that is Krishna's property. Just because it is there, we use it. That should never be the case. That's how we can see that this king, now this Prithu Maharaj, he is the owner. He is the king of the whole world. But then he had no such desire to do sense gratification with the property of the whole world. In future few verses we come to know that how he was so detached, how he was so responsible. So we are also supposed to be like that, that whatever is needed we may ask, but then it should not be a luxury. So necessity, understand. Luxury, but then what is the problem with luxury? अच्छा ब्रांड का चप्पल मिल रहा है 6,000 में, एंड टेंपल में साइन करने के लिए भी तैयार है, तो क्या प्रॉब्लम है? हम थोड़ी चोरी थोड़ी कर रहे हैं, हम तो साइन कर रहे हैं, दे रहे हैं, तो हाँ हाँ ओके.
वो कंफर्ट में रहने की आदत हो जाती है, फिर उससे डाउनग्रेड नहीं होता व्यक्ति, ऊपर की तरफ चढ़ने का प्रयास करता है.
So coming back becomes difficult once you start living very lavish life. When you start living only in AC, non-AC becomes tapasya then. Then it is like, yes? Yeah. तो इसमें बोलो ना.
We also will become chappal conscious, like where is that branded chappal, and
Yeah.
like always we'll be bothered.
चप्पल सुख.
In any case, in that matter, any gadgets and everything will be.
Yeah. So our consciousness goes from Krishna to facility consciousness. So like that. Yes.
Prabhuji, mind says that हम कभी नीचे आएंगे ही नहीं because our temple gets lot of visitors, and so we will have Lakshmi and we will have always good chappal. So why to pessimistically think like this? Rather, as Bear is giving, जब तक मिल रहा है ले लो. So then what is the problem?
Problem is there in our bhajan. That is the only problem. We cannot chant Hare Krishna with all these things around. So indirectly, very strongly it affects our chanting Hare Krishna, our mood in which we worship the Lord. That is very nicely dampened by such kind of opulence. Janma Aishwarya Shuta Shribhir Edamana Madappuman Naiva Arhati Abhidhatum Vai Tvam Akinchana Gocharam. Akinchana Gochar should not wear आधा किलो सोने का लॉकेट लेके घूम रहे हो. So that's why we follow how our acharyas have lived. So we also live like that. Yes.
Bodily consciousness increases. So something happens to the chappal, whole man will there only.
Yeah.
इधर उधर मिसप्लेस भी हो गया तो चप्पल
चप्पल मिस हो गया तो प्राण बाहर आ जाता है ऐसा, या चप्पल को खरोच लग गया तो भी हाफ डेड हो जाते हैं, क्योंकि वो 5,000 का चप्पल है, उसको एक कलर लग गया तो unnecessarily we are bringing potential danger in our life. So why to do that? So better to keep things simple. That's what the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not happy with Sanatana Goswami. Very costly blanket, which was donated only. It was not like he purchased or something like that. It was donated and he was using it. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not very happy. When he gave it, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very happy. He said that you have given up the last shred of attachment. Now it's very nice. So if we live simply, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu become pleased with us. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is pleased, we can chant Hare Krishna nicely and then be peaceful in bhakti. Otherwise, with all this opulence, if you stand in front of Gaur Nitai, they may not be very pleased. So, willingly we have to be away from opulence. That's what brahmachari life is. Yes.
क्या होता है ना प्रभु जी, इसमें एक ये खतरनाक चीज़ होती है कि जैसे हम हमारे लिए तो समझ जाते हैं ठीक है हमको सेंस ग्रेटिफिकेशन नहीं करना चाहिए, बट माया कई बार ऐसे एक्ट करती है कि मुझे ये अपने लिए नहीं चाहिए, मैं तो ये सेवा के लिए यूज़ कर रहा हूँ कि अगर मैं अच्छे कपड़े पहनूंगा, अच्छी चप्पल पहनूंगा या फिर महंगा फ़ोन रखूँगा तो वो सेवा के लिए, डोनेशन अगर कलेक्शन मेरा सेवा है या फिर प्रीचिंग मेरा सेवा है तो उसमें बेनिफिशियल रहेगा, मेरे को इसमें कुछ नहीं चाहिए। तो इस तरीके से माया एक्ट करती है, तो उसको कैसे समझा जाए कि ये क्या है, मतलब करना चाहिए, लेना चाहिए वो ऑपुलेंस या फिर नहीं लेना चाहिए? क्योंकि फिर प्रभुपाद जी के ऐसे इंस्ट्रक्शंस भी याद आते हैं कि ड्रेस नाइसली, जैसे गिरिराज स्वामी महाराज को उन्होंने बोला था, तो युक्त वैराग्य है कि हम लोग ये भगवान की सेवा के लिए उपयोग करेंगे।
Yeah, that's what, na. Prabhupada told Loknath Maharaj to wear always pressed clothes, like that. But then we have to see that how many disciples he told that instruction. You wear pressed clothes. Karke. That also we have to see, na. If that was the case, he would have written in the Bhagavatam purport only that all ISKCON devotees can wear nice dress, pressed clothes. So what happens is Prabhupada gave instruction to one devotee for some particular service, and then we start feeling that I am also like Maharaj only, and then it applies to me also. So that assumption is wrong. Right?
एक और ऐसे विचार आता है कि भाई इतना सब सिंपल करने में भक्ति चली जाएगी आपकी। अच्छे खा लो, अच्छा कपड़ा, अच्छा से अच्छे से रह लो और भक्ति करो अच्छे से, वो भगवान सबसे ज़्यादा आपका ब्रह्मचर्य बचेगा, बजाय कि सारा दिन अपना सिंपल करने में लगे रहो। सारा ध्यान आपका उधर ही है, भगवान का ध्यान करो ना, उससे अच्छा तो अच्छा पहनो, अच्छा खाओ, सीधी बात है। नहीं, कैसे समझें इसको?
कैसे समझे?
तो जी ऐसे प्रचार की बात आती है तो ऐसे मैं समझ आता है कि प्रचार हम समझे नहीं प्रचार कैसे होता है। प्रचार कपड़े से, मोबाइल से, घड़ी से नहीं होता, बल्कि उल्टा नेगेटिव प्रचार होता है। कोई देखेगा इतना घड़ी, इतने 45 साल की घड़ी पहने हुए हैं, स्मार्ट वॉच और इतनी महंगी चप्पल पहने तो प्रचार होगा ही नहीं, चाहे वो डोनर हो, कलेक्शन करने वाला हो। हमने सुना था एक बार भक्ति पद्मा प्रचार स्वामी सौरभ महाराज गए थे, कोई सी डोनर के पास मीटिंग थी, तो वो बस से उतर के गए तो वो लोग सरप्राइज़ हो गए, बोले कैसे साधु हैं ये, टेम्पल प्रेसिडेंट है। वो तो एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे थे कुछ और होगा, गाड़ी से आएंगे बड़े साहब। वो देखे, बोले इमीडिएटली बोले आप बैठो यहाँ पे, आपको क्या चाहिए हम सब कुछ करते हैं, आपका मंदिर, आपका फेस्टिवल, हम सब कुछ करके देते हैं। और हमने तो सुना है ऐसे ही पूजी महाविष्णु स्वामी महाराज, उनको बोला आप राजकोट में मंदिर बनाओ, वहाँ गए अपने शिष्यों के साथ भागवत पढ़ते थे बैठ के, साधारण। उनको मंदिर बनाना था, शिष्य कहते थे क्या कर रहे हो, मंदिर बनाना है। बोले बैठो भागवत पढ़ते हैं, भागवत पढ़ते रहते थे। एक बार एक डोनर आया, बोला मेरा मंदिर बनाया हुआ है, रात को सपने आया कि किसी साधु को दे दो, तो आप ले लो मंदिर मेरा। बिल्कुल नया नया बिल्कुल मंदिर बनाया हुआ, उनको दे दिया, मंदिर शुरू हो गया। भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर कहते थे, हमने सुना है जी ऐसा कि बोले मंदिर पैसा नहीं है मंदिर में, बोले यहाँ बैठ के अगर ध्यान से भजन करोगे पैसा पैसा आ जाएगा, तो आप लोग बैठ के भजन करो, चैंटिंग करो, सब आ जाएगा। और डोनर आते तो पैसे देके जाते थे। तो प्रचार तो ये प्योरिटी से होता है जी, खाली कपड़े से जो चाहिए। पापा ने बोला कि अच्छे कपड़े पहनो, मैंने नहीं फटे हुए कपड़े पहनो, यहाँ से फटे हुए हैं, वहाँ से फटे हुए हैं, बस साधारण। ऐसी चप्पल भी सब तरीके की आती हैं। वही चप्पल देखने में 200 की लगती है, मैंने ली है भी चप्पल जी, 200 रुपये की चप्पल है वो। वही चप्पल 2000 की भी आती है, 1500 की भी आती है, अलग अलग कंपनियों की है। वो साधारण अंधेरी से ले ली जाके दुकान से, देखने में ठीक है जी, प्रचार के लिए अच्छी है। दूसरी पैरागांव की है, एक बकने दी 300 रुपये की चप्पल है, देखने में ठीक है जी, तो हो जाता है जी उससे मैनेज। फिर जी कह रहे सिंपल, वही उल्टा मैं तो समझता हूँ, अगर ज़्यादा कंफर्ट होगा, ऐसे बता रहे थे ना चैतन्य जीवन पर, ज़्यादा कंफर्ट है, ज़्यादा सामान है, और चिंता बढ़ेगी मुझे हमारी, उसको संभाल के रखना है, खोएगा नहीं। 2000 की चप्पल है, अगर 200 की चप्पल खोई तो क्या दिक्कत है, कोई दिक्कत नहीं होने वाली, कोई चुरा के लेके होती है पूजी, मन में चोरी होती है। 2000 की चोरी होगी तो दोबारा लेने मुश्किल हो जाएगी, अब मुझे और लगेगा कि भाई कैसे चली गई। तो ऐसे पूजी जब जितना हमारी फैसिलिटी बढ़ेंगी, चीज़ें होंगी, उतना मुश्किल ही होता है पूजी, वो उसको संभालना भी भजन नहीं हो सकता। आज पूजी बता रहे थे कि अगर ब्रह्मचारी रहना है और भजन करना है तो प्रसाद और सोना, अगर इसको ध्यान नहीं रखोगे आप तो भजन नहीं हो सकता। यही ब्रह्मचारी की अभी बाधा है। स्त्री तो बाधा है नहीं, छोड़ के आ गए तो उसका बाधा नहीं है। प्रसाद और सोना, ये 2 चीज़ों का कंट्रोल नहीं किया तो आप ब्रह्मचारी रहना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाएगा। तो साधारण तो करनी पड़ेगा।
यस मनोरम
प्रभु जी, जब हम चीज़ें यूज़ करना चालू करते हैं ना ऑपलेंट, तो फिर कंपैरेटिव मेंटालिटी बढ़ती है, और फिर हमेशा फिर जो मेरे से महंगी चीज़ जो यूज़ कर रहे हैं उसको देखते रहते हैं कि अरे अभी इसके पास ये आ गया तो मेरा भी अभी स्टैंडर्ड बढ़ाना पड़ेगा, ऐसे वगैरह। और फिर इवेंचुअली उसमें माइंड रहता है। और मैंने मेरे आँखों से सुना है, आँखों से देखा है और सुना भी है। एक नाम नहीं लूँगा, एक न्यू भक्ता थे, तो उनके पास एंड्रॉयड ये था, एप्पल का फ़ोन था। तो उनको ऐसे बात कर रही थी प्रसाद माहौल में, तो बोल रहे अरे तुम न्यू भक्ता में तुम क्यों एप्पल का फ़ोन यूज़ करता है। बोलते देवकीनंदन प्रभु यूज़ कर रहे हैं तो मैं क्यों नहीं यूज़ करूँगा, मैं भी भक्ति कर रहा हूँ, वो भी भक्ति कर रहे हैं। एंड नाउ दैट न्यू भक्ता इज़ नो मोर गया। तो वही अभी कंपेरेटिव मेंटालिटी स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम द बिग पर्सन टू द, तो फिर हम ऐसे कंपेयरिंग करते कि उनको चाहिए तो मेरे को क्यों नहीं, और फिर कंपैरिजन बढ़ते रहता है, और फिर वही फिर चाहिए फिर।
Yeah. So that is also one thing, that's what happens is we compare that somebody is using, so what is the problem in my using? We don't understand that why they are using, what is their level, what is their service, what is your service. We don't see that. We see only that he is using, so I also should have the same equal rights to use that. Okay.
कंक्लूजन नहीं समझ में आ रहा है प्रभु जी, आप कंक्लूजन दे दीजिए।
Conclusion is simple. Bhalana khaibo, bhalana paribo. So that is the conclusion. More we are simple, bhakti becomes more easy. More complex we are, bhakti becomes more complex. So lesser possessions, free mind, like that. Mind is very free when you don't have anything. Otherwise it is risk. Sanatana Goswami and his personal servant Ishan, they were going, and then Ishan had taken How many gold coins? 8 gold coins without asking him. Although Sanatana Goswami said, don't take anything. So because of that gold coins, they just barely survived. Otherwise, they would have been killed. So the problem is, one may say that, how does it happen? If my mobile phone is little costly, I am not going to be killed. Actually, you are killed because our Krishna consciousness is hampered by that. We become dependent on such things. So that's how in the 11th canto also, when the duties of a sannyasi, duties of brahmachari are told. So when the brahmachari becomes dependent, then he becomes useless. We become dependent on grahasthas, we be dependent on so then it is like we lose the genuineness is lost, the real principle is lost. So we live like a king to the degree we have very less expectations. When there are too many expectations, too many facilities, then it is like other people may be feeling that, oh, he is living in great opulence, but then he is actually slave of that opulence. So the whole purpose is that we want to be free so that we can chant Hare Krishna, but then we become slave of that facilities itself. So that should not be the case. So we live simply, and we have to see our seniors, other fellow devotees who are living this principle, and then we follow them, not follow somebody who is not following this principle. The major problem happens is this only. If 10 people are following good principle and 10 people are following bad principle, people say, "Arey, they are also doing it." So good examples and bad examples will be always there. It is our it up to us whom we want to follow. That's the thing.
थैंक यू रोजी। एक ऐसे भी कई बार फीलिंग आती है कई डिवोटीज को कि ये तो थोड़ा सा दम घुट रहा है ऐसे अभी क्या चीज़ लेनी है, चप्पल, कपड़ा, घड़ी, उसके लिए भी पूछते रहो किसी को, तो इतना क्या है अभी, ऐसे थॉट आता है। तो हाउ टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट?
Actually क्या है, we have not seen the traditional Gurukul. Prabhupada writes many times like that. Whenever he writes about disciple and Guru, you know what he tells? Prasad ka, kya? When the Guru calls, then only he should eat. If he forgets to call, you just imagine that was the actual standard. If that standard is there, ashram mein kitne log rahenge? That was the standard. So now, so much of compromise has been done, and then now these things becomes like choking or something like that. But basically we have come here to give up our independent mentality, our rebellious mentality. So unless we go through that training, that is not going to come. Then there will be very less purification, and then we will be like a half-cooked devotee. So then will not become pakwa, will not be. So it's up to us. If we want to be ripe, then we should be ready to be exposed to sunlight and heat and things like that. Somebody says that, no, I don't want sunlight, I don't want, but I want to be mature. That doesn't be. So willingly we are ready to follow these rules and regulations, whatever it may be. Like that. So sometimes it may look very heavy, but if that is needed for us to remain in ashram and go ahead, we just accept it. Like that. Prabhupada's times, Prabhupada had told the cooks that don't eat this chana, वो जो होता है ना, हाँ, Kabuli chana. Prabhupada said that in a meal you can take 4-5 chana. So like that. So I still remember many temples, they used to count how many devotees are there, 25. They will count the chanas, 4 each, and then that much only they will put in sabji. And then while serving also they will see that 4 chanas, and then that much only they give. This used to happen. So what we are going through now, these are like, already so much concession is there. Yeah.
Just last I will ask. Some situations, some grihasthas or outside devotees, they may see us and they may propose, oh Prabhuji, I'll give you a better phone, I'll give you a better cloth, better chappal, and what is this? So then what to do? It looks quite reasonable that okay, he is feeling so much pity on me. Temple से क्या मांगना, हाथ क्या फैलाना, यहाँ इज्जत से मिल रहा है, ले लेते हैं, तो क्या प्रॉब्लम है? Sometimes they may say take flight tickets, expensive gadgets, so many things they may. And we also feel कि ठीक है, थोड़ा महाप्रसाद देके इनको मेंटेन करना अच्छा रहेगा, ये ऐसे हमें ध्यान देते रहेंगे, हम इनका ध्यान देते रहेंगे ऐसे, तो उसमें क्या गलती है? मंदिर से तो नहीं ले रहा मैं.
Yeah, that's what. When we become dependent like that, that our whole wealth is our consciousness. On that only our gadi is going on. So when we lose that consciousness, we are just losing our life itself. And those who are not worried so much about consciousness, then they have to be asked this question, that then why you have come to Krishna consciousness? If you are not so much worried about consciousness, then better we stay outside only. We come to Krishna consciousness so that we can develop our consciousness. So if that is not a priority, if that is just a last thing to achieve, then there is no purpose only. But then taking anything from grihasthas, personally I can tell you that it is just weakening our brahmacharya principle. It becomes a habit. We become almost slave only. Then when that grihastha wants time and then energy from us, then we are supposed to give. We can't say no. So we don't want to sell our that freedom for such facilities like that. So we are discussing this because purport Prabhupada writes that everything is a property of Lord and devotees. Okay. Text 47. Brahmachari can do fundraising, that's not a problem. But then that is not very, if he is not careful, lot of chances are there that he may be dragged down to lower modes. So, because he has to deal with money and woman when he is doing fundraising. So, potential danger is more like that. Hmm? Text 47. Yairidrushi bhagavato gatiratmavada. So this is very nice shloka. Everybody should memorize this. Very nice shloka. This is in the glorification of spiritual master or the acharyas. Yairidrushi bhagavato gatiratmavada. एकांततो निगमिभिः प्रतिपादितानः तुष्यन्ति अभद्रकरुणा स्वकृतेन नित्यम् को नाम तत्प्रीतिकरोति विनोदपात्रम्
Prithu Maharaj continued, how can such persons who have rendered unlimited service by explaining the path of self-realization in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and whose explanations are given for our enlightenment with complete conviction and Vedic evidence be repaid except by folded palms containing water for their satisfaction? Such great personalities can be satisfied only by their own activities which are distributed amongst human society out of their unlimited mercy.
Yeah. So Prithu Maharaj is glorifying Sanat Kumaras. He says that the highest welfare is done by great souls like all of you who are giving us this valuable knowledge by which we are coming out of this cycle of birth and death. So he says that what can we do for in return for such. So as one Prabhupada disciple asked Prabhupada that Prabhupada, what can we repay you for what you have done to us? What was Prabhupada's answer? Prabhupada said, you can never repay. Whatever I have given, accept it and give it to others. So there is no way disciple can repay the debt to his spiritual master. Because what we have got is not because of our qualification, it is because of their mercy. So then that's how he sees that how we can repay. So there is no way we can repay other than just surrendering ourselves by folding palms. And then he is saying such great personalities can be satisfied only by their own activities. So he is telling that it is not that by me giving you something you will be satisfied, because what can I give you? So what you are satisfied is by your activities itself only, because they are so wonderful that you are satisfied with that thing only, which you are already doing it by spreading this valuable message. Purport also Prabhupada writes very nicely.
Great personalities of the material world are very eager to render welfare service to human society. But actually no one can render better service than one who distributes the knowledge of spiritual realization in relation with the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yeah, so This we have to be very much convinced after joining ISKCON, that devotees are the most valuable asset to the whole society, and the best service to the society is done by giving Krishna consciousness. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was damn convinced about it. So he never diverted his attention to anything else than preaching Krishna consciousness. And that's how we see Prabhupada also. So Prabhupada writes that many people want to do welfare service, but they don't know what is the most important service. That somebody is dying out of Krishna consciousness. Somebody comes and gives him Krishna consciousness, he is saving him from multiple times death and birth, disease and death. So, if we are saved, somebody is drowning in water and then somebody comes and saves him, how much grateful he will be there throughout his life, that he saved my life. But when spiritual master comes and gives us spiritual understanding, he is saving not one life, he is saving repeated birth and death crores and crores of times, which is bound to happen. So how much more grateful one should be. So here we see that how we repay. That's how in every day in the morning we sing. Chakshudana dilo jai, janme janme prabhu sei, divya jnana hriday prakashito. So he says that Chakshudan dilo jai, janme janme prabhu sei. Because he has given this Chakshudan, that Chakshudan had saved me from millions of deaths ahead. I don't have to take another body. And then Prabhupada writes further that such knowledge is the perfect benediction for humanity. Second paragraph, Prabhupada writes, knowledge of Krishna is such a great gift that it is impossible to repay the benefactor. Therefore, Prithu Maharaj requested the Kumaras to be satisfied by their own benevolent activities in delivering souls from the clutches of Maya. The king saw that there was no other way to satisfy them for their exalted activities. And then he gives understanding of this Vinoda Patram. So Vinoda Patram, the word comes in the last word in the shloka. Ko nama tat pratikaroti Vinoda Patram. So he writes two meanings to this Vinoda Patram. First meaning, Prabhupada writes, Vinoda Patram means he becomes a Vinod Patra, that he becomes the qualified. Patra means qualified, and Vinoda means joker. So he becomes a qualified joker when he tries to repay such great personalities. So basically, that means to say that we can never repay. And if somebody says that I'll repay, people will laugh at him. Another meaning he says, Vina Uda Patram. That Uda Patra means taking water in the hands and offering arghya to them. So we can see that this gratitude to Acharya is like a very important ingredient by which our devotional service becomes very smoothly runs. when we run out of this fuel, gratitude to Acharya, then spiritual life starts becoming routine, boring, laborious, like that. And that's how we see that every day Prabhupada Guru Puja is there. That is a great festival for us to celebrate our good fortune and remember that we are so grateful to this personality. That's why it says that Ebe Yash Ghushuk Tribhuvana. One devotee was telling that Ebe Yash Ghushuk Tribhuvan, what it means? Huh? Yeah, your glories are sung in 3 worlds. So this devotee was further giving purport to that. He said, when a devotee sees this, that Ebe Yash Ghushuk Tribhuvana, means I will take this as a responsibility of mine to spread these glories to the 3 worlds. It's not that, Prabhupada to famous hai, very nice. Hari Bol. So, we take that responsibility to preach, go out, tell people about the glories of Prabhupada. So, we take that on our head to spread the glories all over the 3 worlds. So, that's how devotee thinks. Ebe Yash Ghushuk Tribhuvana. So we all are, to the degree we have this gratitude towards Prabhupada, to that degree all our activities in Krishna consciousness becomes meaningful. They, for example, reading Prabhupada books, following the instruction he has given, dealing with other devotees, understanding that they are Prabhupada's people. So all other things fall in place when we have sufficient gratitude to Acharya, like that. So now we will do just 5 minutes this workshop. All of you are ready? Okay. So you take your pen and paper or your laptop or whatever. Next 2 minutes, all of you just write what makes you actually grateful to Prabhupada. Don't write everything, I don't want that kind of answer. Everything is very nice. Prabhupada has given everything. What you feel, that you write. Okay. Okay, we just want some volunteer to tell one important thing from your list, so that 4 or 5 people we can just go through like that. Yes, Mancharibu. One point from that, most important.
Prabhuji, I like the purports of Prabhupada. One word is like Prabhupada is to say that these are words spoken by Krishna. So I feel great pleasure by reading one word of Prabhupada. That is gives my strength.
Actually, that is our such a great wealth that we are having purports personally given by Prabhupada. Yeah.
Prabhupada, so already the purport about he told. And another, Prabhupada established many temples, farmhouses, Gurukul, festivals. So he established many such things where we can practice or we can get that.
So Prabhupada gave a very nice system which will go on for thousands of years, benefiting the society. Yes.
In spite of so many difficulties, he continued preaching. He never stopped. We saw initially around 40 years he struggled to preach in India and outside as well.
Yeah. So his tireless preaching, that is our qualification, that we are sitting here now reading and understanding Bhagavatam.
By his own personal exemplary behavior, how perfect sadhu should be, how perfect disciple, perfect guru, perfect caretaker. Because in many aspects, whatever we, whenever we speak anything, we can quote Prabhupada's example as a perfect person.
Yeah. So we are grateful for Prabhupada for being perfect in every aspect. Okay.
Hare Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada empowerment to each soul in Krishna consciousness, because many devotees are like that before coming to Krishna consciousness. When Prabhupada started ISKCON, they don't know anything, but Prabhupada inspired them in such a way that like everybody is doing very substantial things in ISKCON, like we see now Mayapur and many other such places and services like that.
Yeah. So we are grateful for his empowerment which he has given to this whole world.
Hare Krishna. So discussion was going on simplicity. So I'll tell simplicity, simple life. So I'll share one example before joining ashram in 2012 or 13, 14 something. So when I went for working in Bangalore, so I was, so company director was daily observing me. I have only two pair of clothes. One wear today, another tomorrow, third day repeat. So one day he asked me, आप कपड़े धोते हो या नहीं है? तो मैंने बोला क्या हुआ? बोला हर अल्टरनेट द सेम कपड़े पहनते हो. हाँ बीच में एक दिन है धो देता हूँ मैं. तो then he spoke sometime. He came from USA. He was Indian, NRI. Then he came from US and then he saw every day I'm doing like 6 months and something. Then after that he appreciated. So if you have people like you, country's all problem will be solved. So then I was remembering Prabhupada, what he gave. Okay, so of course he gave morning program. There are so many things we have said.
Okay. Jai.
Prabhupada is very systematically made all the setup where any lane man, any person from the street can achieve highest perfection in life.
Yeah.
So he made all foolproof system, foolproof. No errors are there. Only that user can, that person is sincere and serious. Then all foolproof system is that it is sure that he will achieve perfection.
Yeah. So Prabhupada gave like system by which every single living being here can reach to perfection. Yeah.
Practical services which Srila Prabhupada gives in the organization. 6 purposes of ISKCON. Because of which we can be engage our passion and
Yeah.
engage.
Prabhupada created multiple engagement for multiple varieties of devotees. Okay.
Saved from the hellish lifestyle which we are heading towards.
Yeah. He saved from fashionable hellish lifestyle, which is modern lifestyle. People call themselves modern, feel proud of it. So, but it is hellish. So because of Prabhupada's mercy only we are saved. Yeah.
Prabhupada didn't just give all these things and then went away, but he still continues to be actively present in lives of all the devotees and continues inspiring them
Yeah.
actively.
So till date Prabhupada is present through his inspiration, through his words, through his devotees.
Prabhupada gave a platform where we can, without worry of food and dress, we can practice 100% full time pure devotional service.
Oh. Yeah. So generally in this world we find that so many sadhus are there, so many saints are there, and they give so many different types of processes. But then Prabhupada stands out among them for giving us nothing less than pure devotional service. Yeah. So we see that to the degree we have this kind of consciousness, and every Guru Puja is the time for us to remind ourselves, remember Prabhupada's grace on us individually. Not just Prabhupada came and delivered the whole world, but then we ourselves feel connection to Prabhupada when we see that how Prabhupada has helped me, how Prabhupada's purports had helped me, how Prabhupada's devotees have helped me, how Prabhupada's institution ISKCON has helped me, how Prabhupada's instructions have helped me. So that gratitude only can pull us out from the negativity of this world, like that. So when we are grateful to Acharya, that is a very strong empowerment which we get. By that we can very easily fight with Maya. Then it becomes easy. So this was the last shloka in glorification done by Prithu Maharaj for 4 Kumaras. So this shloka applies to all acharyas, whomever we are feeling that their contribution in our life, like that. We'll chant this verse again. 47. Yairidrishi bhagavato gatiratmavada ekantato nigamibhi pratipaditanah तुष्यत्वद्भ्र करुणा स्वकुत्रेण नित्यम् को नाम तत्प्रीति करोति विनोदपात्रम्. Text 48. Maitreya uvacha ta atmayoga pataya आदिराजेन पूजिताः शीलं तदीयं शंसतः खे भवन्मिष्यतां नृणाम्. Translation.
The great sage Maitreya continued, being thus worshipped by the Maharaj Prithu, the four Kumaras who were masters of the devotional service became very pleased. Indeed, they appeared in the sky and praised the character of king, and everyone observed them.
Yeah. Okay, so now next few are the glorification of Prithu Maharaj. Now this will go a little faster. So now they are all the personalities present there when this whole thing was happening, that four Kumaras came, they were sitting on the throne, and then there was a question answer, and then they left. And then now all the praja is glorifying Prithu Maharaj. Okay. Prabhupada writes that how Kumaras were greatly satisfied by King Prithu's method of worship. It was by the grace of Maharaj Prithu that the common citizens in his domain could see the Kumaras flying in outer space. So the way they came, they disappeared in the space. Text 49. So here they are glorifying the position of Prithu Maharaj. Vainyastu dhuryo mahatam samsthityadhyatma shikshaya aptakama mivatmanam menatmanyavasthitaha. Yes.
Amongst great personalities, Maharaj Prithu was the chief by virtue of his fixed position in relation to spiritual enlightenment. He remained satisfied as one who has achieved all success in his spiritual understanding.
Yeah. Prabhupada writes in the purport that remaining fixed in devotional service gives one the utmost self-satisfaction. But this self-satisfaction is due to only one who is pure devotee. That's how Prabhupada writes in the purport. Everyone is hankering after peace of mind and self-satisfaction, but these means peace of mind and self-satisfaction can only be achieved by becoming a pure devotee of the Lord. Other than pure devotee, person cannot be self-satisfied, and peace of mind also doesn't happen. Yeah. Now the next shloka talks about his duties. Being a great pure devotee, still he performed his duties also diligently, not that he was irresponsible. Text 50. Karmani cha yatha kalam yatha desham yatha balam yathochitam yatha vittam akarod brahma satkritam.
Being self-satisfied, Maharaj Prithu executed his duties as perfectly as possible according to the time and his situation, strength and financial position. His only aim in all his activities was to satisfy the absolute truth. In this way, he duly acted.
So purport Prabhupada writes that Maharaj Prithu was a responsible monarch, and he had to execute the duties of a Kshatriya, a king, and a devotee at the same time. Being perfect in the Lord's devotional service, he could execute his prescribed duties with complete perfection as befitted the time and the circumstance, and his financial strength and personal ability. So he was being a devotee of the Lord, he was very not irresponsible on the name of being devotee. He was very expert in terms of his material looking duties also. Of course, he didn't see them as material. He did it from spiritual perspective only. For example, this yajna was going on. So, generally the yajna is done for personal punya, to get heaven or something like that. Prithu Maharaj did so many yajnas. What was the goal? Yeah, so it was for the betterment, upliftment of praja only. So the result was that whole praja becomes devotee, and then they are taken care. So that's how he was. So for him, that yajna also was for the service to Lord, keeping praja in mind, like that. Text 51. So here the mood of Prithu Maharaj is given, that how he was always in the mood of servant. Phalam brahmani sanyasya nirvishangah samahitah karmadhyaksham cha manvana atmanam prakrute param.
Maharaj Prithu completely dedicated himself to be an eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, transcendental to material nature. Consequently, all the fruits of his activity were dedicated to Lord, and he always thought of himself as the servant of Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of everything.
Yeah. So Maharaj Prithu completely dedicated himself to be an eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he was always in this mood that I am servant of Krishna. And then in the purport, Prabhupada writes about how he was renounced, because the shloka phalam brahmani sanyasya. Sanyasya means giving up. So Prabhupada writes that how he was an actual real sannyasi by giving up the fruits of his activities. And then Prabhupada talks that how sannyasa kamyanam karmanam nyasam sannyasam kavayo viduhu sarva karma phalatyagam prahus tyagam vichakshana. To give up the result of all activities is called renunciation, tyaga, by the wise, and the state is called the renounced order of life, sannyas, by the great learned men. So by giving up the result of activities, that is how the real sannyasi is. So Maharaj Prithu was like that. So next para, Prabhupada writes the word nirvisangaha, uncontaminated, is very significant, because Prithu Maharaj was not attached to the result of his activities. Text 52. This describes how Prithu Maharaj was unaffected in all challenging, difficult circumstances. Gruheshu vartamanopi sasamrajya shriyanvitaha na sajjate indriyartheshu nirham tirakarkavat.
Maharaj Prithu, who was very opulent due to the prosperity of his entire empire, remained at home as householder. Since he was never inclined to utilize his opulences for the gratification of the senses, he remained unattached, exactly like the sun, which is unaffected in all circumstances.
So, example analogy is given of a sun who remains uncontaminated even after shining over contaminated thing. That contaminated thing also becomes purified by the presence of sun. So similarly, Prithu Maharaj, although staying in this material world, although dealing with so much of wealth, women, politics, but he was uncontaminated like sun. So that's how he says Arkavat. It's like a sun. Okay. Prabhupada writes in the purport that since a pure devotee knows how to utilize everything for Lord's service, he is never affected by material activities. Instead, by his transcendental plans, he purifies such activities. This is described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Sarvopadhi Vinirmuktam Tat Paratvena Nirmalam. His aim is to become completely purified in the service of the Lord without being affected by material designations. So we go to the text 53. 53 and 54 talks about his progeny, his sons, like that. Evam adhyatma yogena karmanyanu samacharan putranutpadayamasa pancharchishyatma sammatan.
Being situated in the liberated position of devotional service, Prithu Maharaj not only performed all fruitive activities but also begot 5 sons by his wife, Archi. Indeed, all his sons were begotten according to his own desire.
Prabhupada writes, because he was qualified, he had a qualified sons also. In the purport, Prabhupada writes, Yatha yonir yatha bijam. That the way, what kind of mother and father some has, that kind of sons also will be born. So, his sons also were as qualified as he was. Text 54. These are the names of his sons. Vijitashvam dhumrakesham Haryaksham dravinam vrukam Sarvesham lokapalanam Dadharaika pruthur gunan.
After begetting 5 sons named Vijitaswa, Dhumrakesha, Haryaksha, Dravina and Vika, Prithu Maharaj continued to rule the planet. He accepted all the qualities of the deities who governed all other planets.
Yeah. So, these were the sons of Prithu Maharaj. Vijitashva, Dhumrakesha, Haryaksha, Dravina and Vruka. Now, next is how Prithu Maharaj gave protection. Gopithaya jagat srustehe Kale sve sve chutatmakaha Manovagvruttibhi saumya Gunaihi samranjayan prajaha.
Since Maharaj Prithu was a perfect devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he wanted to protect the Lord's creation by pleasing the various citizens according to their various desires. Therefore, Prithu Maharaj used to please them in all respect by his words, mentality, work and gentle behavior.
Yeah. So he protected his praja by giving proper instructions, proper systems. So that's how he protected. text 56. So, text 56 to 63. These are the qualities of Prithu Maharaj. Compared to the great demigods and great personalities in this universe. So, 56 he is compared to moon and sun. 57 he is compared to fire, Indra, earth, heaven. 58 he is compared to rainfall, sea, Mount Meru. 59 he is compared to Yamraj, Himalayas, Kuvera, Varuna. 60 he is compared to wind, Rudra. 61 he is compared to Cupid, lion, Manu, Brahma. And then 62 he is compared to Brahaspati and the Supreme Lord himself. And the 63 is the conclusion. It's like that. So, we'll just chant this slokas. 56. Rajyatyadhana madheyam Somarajaiva paraha Suryavadvisrujan grunnan Pratapancha bhuvo vasu.
Maharaj Prithu became as celebrated king as Somraj, the king of moon. He was also
Loud.
He was also powerful and exciting, just like the sun god, who distributed heat and light, and at the same time excites all the planetary waters.
So he is compared to moon because he was very pleasing, and moon god is very celebrated. So he was also like that. And sun is powerful, and sun extracts water from all the planets by his heat. So similarly, Prithu Maharaj also was very powerful, pleasing, and he was very potential in terms of exacting taxes for their benefit. 57. Durdharshasteja sevagnir Mahendra iva durjayah Titikshaya dharitriva Dhoriva bhishtadonunam.
Maharaj Prithu was so strong and powerful that no one could disobey his order, any more than one could conquer fire itself. He was so strong that he was compared to Indra, the king of heaven, whose power is inseparable. On the other hand, Maharaj Prithu was also as tolerant as the earth, and in fulfilling various desires of human society, he was like heaven itself.
Yeah. So he is compared to fire, which is unconquerable, Indra, who is very strong and inseparable, earth, which is tolerant, and heaven, because all the desires are fulfilled in heaven. 58. Varshati sma yatha kamam Parjanya iva tarpayan Samudra iva durbodha Satvena chalaradiva.
Just as rainfall satisfies everyone's desires, Maharaja Prithu used to satisfy everyone. He was like the sea, in that no one could understand his depths, and he was like Meru, the king of hills, in the fixity of his purpose.
So here he is compared to rainfall, which is satisfying to everybody, whether it's children, whether it is young, whether it is a farmer or whoever. Rainfall is very satisfying. So similarly, Prithu Maharaj. The way the sea is unfathomable, you can't reach to the bottom, length, breadth. So Prithu Maharaj was like that, very grave. And then he is compared to Meru, who is very fixed. Nobody can move. So that's how he was determined. If something he decides, then nobody can shake him. 59th. Dharmaradiva shikshayam Ascharye himavaniva Kuvera iva koshadhyo Guptartho varuno yatha.
Maharaj Prithu's intelligence and education were exactly like that of Yamaraj, the superintendent of death. His opulence was comparable to the Himalaya mountains, where all valuable jewels and metals are stocked. He possessed great riches like Kuvera, the treasurer of the heavenly planets, and no one could reveal his secrets, for they were like the demigod Varunas.
Yeah. So he is compared to Yamaraj in terms of intelligence, learning, ability to give judgment. He is compared to Himalayas for its opulences, Kuvera for his riches, and Varuna for keeping secrecy. How he is. Text 60. Matari Shveva Sarvatma Balena Mahasaujasa Avishahyataya Devo Bhagavan Bhutaradiva.
Translation. In his bodily strength and in the strength of his senses, Maharaj Prithu was as strong as the wind, which can go anywhere and everywhere. As far as his intolerance was concerned, he was just like the all-powerful Rudra expansion of Lord Shiva or Sadashiva.
Okay, so he is compared to wind for its bodily and sensual strength, and Rudra for intolerant. Intolerant means when things are not going well, he will take action, not just forgive any wrongdoer like that. In that sense, he was intolerant. 61. Kandarpa iva saundarye Manasvi mrugaradiva Vatsalye manuvanrunam Prabhutve bhagavanajaha.
In his bodily beauty, he was just like Cupid, and in his thoughtfulness, he was like a lion. In his affection, he was just like Swayambhuva Manu, and in his ability to control, he was like Lord Brahma.
Yeah. So he's compared to Cupid for beauty, lion for thoughtfulness, Manu for affection, and Brahma for his power. 62. Brahaspatir Brahmavade Atmavatve Swayam Harihi Bhaktyago Guru Vipreshu Vishwaksenanuvartishu Riya Prashraya Shilabhyam Atmatulyaha Parodhyame.
In his personal behavior, Prithu Maharaj exhibited all good qualities, and in spiritual knowledge he was exactly like Brihaspati. In self-control he was like the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. As far as his devotional service was concerned, he was a great follower of devotees who were attached to cow protection and the rendering of all service to a spiritual master and the Brahmanas. He was perfect in his shyness and in his gentle behavior, and when he engaged in some philanthropic activity, he worked as if he were working for his own personal self.
Yeah, so Prabhupada writes in the purport that he was compared to the Brihaspati because of his knowledge of Brahman. And then Prabhupada writes in the purport that he was a king, but he was not just very powerful king, but he was well aware of the all philosophies, so much so that he can very easily defeat Mayavad, impersonalists like that by putting strong arguments. So in that sense he was like a Brahaspati. And then he says that in sense control he was like Supreme Lord himself. Prabhupada writes in the purport that how the brahmachari remains sense controlled, and that's how he achieves great power. And then he says that how Krishna is the real brahmachari, and who glorifies Krishna as great brahmachari? Bhishma Dev. When he was chosen for the prime puja in the Rajasuya sacrifice. So when his name was proposed, personally Bhishma Dev got up and supported it, telling that I know he is most pure, he is the real brahmachari. So because he himself was a brahmachari, he can very easily understand who is brahmachari and who is not. So that's why in sense control he was compared to the Supreme Lord. And then he talks that he is devoted to Go, Brahmana and Guru, the cows, Brahmanas and Guru. And very nice thing talked in the end of the purport is that when it came to philanthropic activity, he was very eager, hard-working when it happened to help somebody else. Generally in this world, when it comes to helping others, people are very lazy. And even if they are little active, they want to do it for self. So they want to just showcase themselves as heroes, that how great they are in helping people. So, but then Prithu Maharaj was not like that. So Prabhupada writes that he used to do philanthropic activity with personal feeling and commitment. With great feeling, hard work, he will do philanthropic activities. And with commitment. In our IPP also, in congregation, some leaders are there now also, who give donation to temple by taking loan. That's the commitment. Now Janmashtami is coming, I need to donate, but I don't have sufficient. So then they take loan to donate. So that is commitment. So Prithu Maharaj was like committed to serve the society. Like that. Last shloka, text 63. Kirtyordhvagitaya pumbhi त्रैलोक्ये तत्र तत्रः प्रविष्टः कर्णरन्ध्रेषु स्त्रीणां रामः सतामिव.
Throughout the whole universe, in the higher, lower and middle planetary system, Prithu Maharaj's reputation was loudly declared, and all ladies and saintly persons heard his glories, which were as sweet as the glories of Lord Ramchandra.
Shai. Thus ends our 22nd chapter. पृथु महाराज की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की, श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय. चलो. Okay, when we meet again? 2:30. Okay.